We are always told that self-awareness is a gift. We are told that knowing ourselves is the ultimate goal of a meaningful life. But no one tells you about the weight of that gift. No one tells you how heavy it feels to carry a mirror in your mind that never turns off. You see every flaw, you hear every hesitation, and you understand the why behind your pain so clearly that you can no longer ignore it. Sometimes, you might find yourself wishing you could just stop thinking. You wish you could go back to the days when you simply lived instead of watching yourself live. If you feel tired of your own mind today, please know that this is not a video about fixing you. There is no loud music here. There is no shouting. There is only understanding. I invite you to stay until the end, not because you have to, but because your soul deserves a moment to be seen. Let's sit with the truth together. There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being deeply self-aware. It is the feeling of being a spectator in your own life. While others are laughing or talking or simply being, you are analyzing. You are noticing the slight shift in your tone. You are wondering why you feel a sudden spark of anxiety. You are tracing your reactions back to your childhood while the coffee is still warm in your hand. It is a silent pressure. You compare your messy internal world to the calm exterior of everyone else. You feel like you are too much for yourself to handle. This self-doubt isn't because you are weak, it's because you are paying attention to everything. You feel the layers of your emotions, the shadows of your past, and the uncertainty of your future, all at once. It's exhausting to be the person who always understands, but never feels understood. This burden didn't appear out of nowhere. For many of us, high self-awareness was once a survival tool. Perhaps, as a child, you had to be hyper-aware of the moods of the adults around you to feel safe. You learned to read the air in a room before you even learned to read a book. Over time, this evolved. You became a master at observing yourself because you felt that if you could just understand why you felt a certain way, you could control it. You thought that if you studied your flaws enough, you would eventually become perfect. But the human heart is not a machine to be fixed. It is a landscape to be traveled. This pattern of overanalysis isn't a personal failure. It is simply your mind trying to protect you from being blindsided by pain. You are watching yourself because, at some point, you learned that being unaware was dangerous. But there is a cost to knowing too much. When you spend all your energy observing your life, you stop participating in it. This leads to a quiet, heavy numbness. You might find yourself feeling stuck because you have analyzed every possible outcome of a decision until the decision itself feels impossible. There is a quiet sadness in knowing exactly why you are unhappy, but not having the energy to change it. It leads to a loss of self-trust. You start to wonder, if I am so aware, why can't I just be better? You begin to treat yourself like a project rather than a human being. You feel the exhaustion of a mind that never sleeps, even when your body is resting. It is okay to admit that it hurts. It is okay to feel overwhelmed by the depth of your own internal ocean. Awareness is like a light. When you first turn it on in a dark room, you don't see the beauty, you see the dust and the mess. This is why self-awareness feels like a burden at first. It reveals everything you spent years trying to hide from yourself. But clarity does not come from running away from the mess. It comes from standing still in the middle of it. Responsibility is not the same as blame. You are not to blame for the patterns that were built into you, but you are the only one who can choose how to hold them now. The shift begins when you stop using your awareness as a weapon to judge yourself and start using it as a map to find your way home. You realize that understanding why you are hurt doesn't mean you are broken. It means you are finally awake. There is a quieter way to live. It is a path where you allow yourself to be complex without needing to be solved. Moving forward doesn't require a radical explosion of change. It requires a gentle, intentional consistency. It means choosing to be kind to the version of you that is still learning. We must learn the strength of silence. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do when an overthinking spiral begins is to say, I see this thought, but I don't have to follow it. You don't need a quick fix. You need the truth. And the truth is that your depth is not a defect. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. You are learning to carry your awareness with soft hands instead of a tight grip. You are changing your identity from the person who is broken to the person who is healing. Everything you have been through, the overthinking, the deep emotions, the heavy nights of reflection. It is all part of your growth. You are building a foundation of inner wisdom that no one can take away from you. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to stop fighting your own mind. Imagine looking at your self-awareness not as a weight, but as a compass. You are becoming a person who can sit in the dark and not be afraid, because you have learned how to carry your own light. There is a quiet confidence waiting for you on the other side of this struggle. You are allowed to be at peace with your complexity. You are allowed to breathe. We have spoken much about the weight, but we must also speak of the light. There is a hidden beauty in your ability to feel so much. Because you see the shadows so clearly, you are also capable of seeing the most delicate details of joy that others often miss. You are the person who notices the way the sunlight hits a leaf, or the subtle tremor in a friend's voice that reveals they need a hug. Your awareness is not just a mirror for your pain, it is a bridge to the world's soul. You possess a rare kind of empathy that can only be forged in the fire of self-reflection. When you stop fighting the burden, you realize it is actually a profound sensitivity, a superpower that allows you to experience life in high definition. You are not just a person who thinks, you are a person who truly feels the pulse of existence. To live well with a deep mind, you must learn to set boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. You must learn that you are the master of your awareness, not its servant. Just because a thought is loud does not mean it is true. Just because an emotion is deep does not mean it is a command. You must practice the art of putting the mirror down. There are times when the best thing you can do for your soul is to stop investigating. You are allowed to have a closed sign on your mind for a few hours. You are allowed to just eat your food, listen to the rain, and let the questions remain unanswered. You do not owe your mind an explanation for every heartbeat. By creating this space, you stop the awareness from becoming an obsession. You move from being an inmate of your mind to being its caretaker. There is a profound difference between knowing about life and actually living it. Analysis is a safety net, but presence is the leap. For a long time, you might have used your thoughts as a way to stay safe from the unpredictability of the world. But true peace does not come from having all the answers. It comes from being okay with the mystery. Slowly, you can learn to move from your head down into your body. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. When you anchor yourself in the present moment, the why begins to matter less than the is. You start to realize that you don't need to understand the ocean to swim in it. You simply need to let the water carry you. This is where the burden lifts. Not because the thoughts went away, but because you stopped trying to carry them all at once. You might have felt that your depth makes you an outsider, as if you were speaking a language no one else understands. But the truth is, your self-awareness is the very thing that will lead you to the deepest connections of your life. When you are honest about your inner world, you give others permission to be honest about theirs. You stop seeking superficial talk and start seeking resonance. You realize that everyone is carrying a hidden world, even if they aren't as aware of it as you are. Your vulnerability becomes a lighthouse. By being the person who isn't afraid of the deep water, you find the others who have been swimming alone. You are not a solitary island. You are part of a quiet tribe of seekers who are all trying to find their way home to themselves. Inner peace is not a destination where you arrive and never leave. It is a quiet, daily practice of returning to yourself. There will still be days when the mirror feels too heavy. There will be nights when the overthinking returns like an old, uninvited guest. But the difference now is that you know the way back. You know that you are more than your thoughts. You are the space in which the thoughts happen. You are the silence behind the noise. Reframe your journey not as a struggle to be fixed, but as a masterpiece in progress. Every moment of awareness, even the painful ones, is a brushstroke on the canvas of who you are becoming. You are learning to walk through the world with an open heart and a quiet mind. And that, dear friend, is the greatest success of all. You have spent so much time trying to escape yourself. Now, try simply being with yourself. The burden is heavy because it is valuable. The cost of understanding is high, but the reward is a life lived with truth and intention. Stay steady, stay soft. You are exactly where you need to be. If these words found a home in your heart today, consider joining our community. We are building a space for those who feel deeply and think quietly. Subscribe to stay connected to this journey of understanding. You are not alone in the deep. Thank you for listening. Or rather, thank you for being.